Welcome into the Finance Report. I'm David Wogenson alongside Mallory Hoff, and we have a loaded show for you.
That's right. Here's what's ahead. First, we'll talk about retiring with added confidence. Then in 15 and 15, miracles, guaranteed income, and your taxes. Plus, we'll take a spin on the wheel of retirement. That and so much more ahead.
But first, please be joined by David Reyes, the founder of Reyes Financial Architecture, a San Diego area firm that focuses on preparing people for a successful retirement. David is also the host of the Retirement Architect radio show. So David, lots of emotions for retirees. There can be anxiety, there can be concerns, there can be fears, a lot of negative emotions, if you will, right now as they're heading into retirement. Why do you think they're feeling this way?
Well, I think it's most clients have like two problems. They're afraid to spend their money and they're afraid of running out of money, right? It's kind of the circular problem, right? It's kind of a chicken or the egg, right? And so really it comes down to getting people, it's almost getting permission to spend their own money, right? And I remember I first did this in 1995, my first year in the business. I walked out of a meeting and goes, wow, I had to actually tell this client that's twice my age, it's okay to spend your money.
Okay.
Right? So I think the anxiety is not even the stock market, it's not even, of course, all those things are, but it's really about having the ability to spend their money in retirement.
How does generating multiple streams of income factor into that?
Very, very important. I mean, only 9% of Americans have pensions.
Yeah.
Those are kind of going by the wayside. We want to typically have 2 or 3 or 4 different income streams. Of course, Social Security, maybe somebody has a pension. We might want to use lifetime income vehicles, real estate, dividend paying stocks. So typically our clients are going to have all of those sources of income and they like the diversity of that cash flow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this permission slip you just brought up. What is a conversation like with someone that's 50, 55, 60 and beyond needing a permission slip? I'm not following why somebody would have to have that.
Well, because think about it. Let's say you have $1 million in an account and you spend $1. Mentally, that dollar is gone.
Correct.
And now you have $9,999 left, right? And so the fact of how do we create a plan to produce cash flow, right? I always like to use real estate as an analogy, right? People like rental properties. Why? Because you have the property, you have a renter, you get income. Right, so we like to think of your 401k plan as like a giant investment property. That's how I want to look at it. How do we create income without having to lose the house? And so it takes time to educate a client about how that is, because saving money is quite different than doing retirement income planning and spending money.
So as you just said, pensions have kind of gone by the wayside. But how challenging can it be sometimes to convince someone who has been picking away at that pile of money that there is a better way? I think a lot of folks are trying to plan like their parents or even their grandparents, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's hard. I think what it is, it takes time.
Yeah.
Typically we're sitting down with clients 2 or 3 or 4 meetings.
Sure.
Because you have to almost undo, like what you're saying, what they were taught
that mentality
is wrong. It's just wrong. And so the fact is their 60-40 portfolio, their 401k portfolio of stocks and bonds is probably not going to be the allocations or the strategy we need to have a successful retirement.
What was taught, what is being taught? What's the difference right now?
Well, what was being taught is that you're going to put your money into some balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds, and it's still taught, and that you can spend that money over 30 years, the old 4% rule. You can spend 4% of your money. Well, inflation's higher. Taxes are probably going to be higher in the future. Things cost more. And so, the number one concern that people have is inflation at this point in time, which makes sense. I talked about inflation in one of the books that I wrote in 2018. I was concerned about it. It's kind of reared its head now. So, the difference is we have to deal with cash flow that we want to have grow over time as well. And a typical portfolio of stocks and bonds just isn't going to cut it.
You touched on tax planning a few seconds ago. How does this play a role in the big picture that is a retirement that could last 20, even 30 plus years?
Yeah, so taxes are a big deal. My partner, thank God, is a CPA, so we get to deal with that head on. For the average retiree, tax are not going to be the biggest issue. They're just not. The average, what I'm saying, somebody has Social Security and they're taking some money of their 401k plan, they're probably going to pay between 15 to 20% in income taxes. But what happens, which is more important, is when there's a life event, there's sale of a business, sale of a real estate, maybe some inheritance that comes through. There's some planning that needs to be done on a large transfer of assets. That's where a lot of it comes in. Are we going to do Roth conversions where we're going to convert taxable into tax-free? So there's some large opportunities around there. The average person is probably going to pay between 15 to 20% in taxes, but there are clients that can have significant issues that we have to deal with very head on.
Well, for those that are about to sell a highly appreciated asset, whether it's a business, it can be art, you name it, what type of strategy should they be looking at?
We have a client right now that's selling $4 million worth of real estate, right? A lot of our clients are selling real estate because they're older. They don't want to, we call it toilets, trash, and tenants, right? They don't want to deal with all that stuff. And the problem is they paid $1 for the property, now it's worth $1 million. So the little challenge is on per $1 million of real estate, you're probably going to pay between $250,000 and $300,000 in tax. So we'll use multiple strategies, 1031 exchanges, or certain types of trusts you can do to mitigate or eliminate tax on the sale. And so there's lots of things, not lots, there's a handful of strategies we use to really have to not pay the tax on the sale, on the transaction. Of course, we're going to have to pay taxes. We take income from that investment. But those are the types of things that are really, really needle movers for our clients.
How often do you find that people walk into your office for a first appointment, a first visit, and they think their portfolio could withstand the next major storm? You take a look at it and very quickly realize it wouldn't.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I've never had one clients don't really understand the construct of their portfolios.
Okay.
I think, whether it's themselves, their advisors really not explain to them in detail. The first thing we look at is risk. I mean, we call it sacred money, right?
Yeah, sure.
If we're managing our clients' entire assets, right? They have $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, whatever they have. That's sacred money. We've got to protect the capital first, produce lifetime income, and grow the money. And so the first thing we're looking at is stress testing the portfolio for like 2000, 2008, how to do during COVID, how to do during 2022. And so we're very proactive about educating clients about the risk they're really taking because they really don't know.
Why do you think they don't know? How did we get to this point in time where people work 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years to get to a successful retirement, yet they don't know?
Part of it's very pragmatic because I've asked myself that question all the time. Here's one of the real reasons, because when you're saving, you're saving.
Yeah.
It covers up losses, right? So if you're contributing money to your 401k plan and the market's down 20%, but you're contributing 30, 40, 50,000, 100,000 a year, maybe as a married couple, it covers up bad performance. The problem is that's going to show up very much so when you're retired and you're no longer contributing, but you're taking money out. So risk becomes a much bigger problem in retirement than it is when you're working.
Excellent information, which means the time to act is now.
Absolutely. So for you at home, today exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, David has a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater, he's offering a complimentary second opinion review just for you. This will allow David and his team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap, analyzing where you are right now, and then discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. As a game plan to get you where you need to be. The number to call right now, it's 858-293-4644. Once again, that number, it's 858-293-4644.
If you're quickly approaching retirement and you've never sat down to talk with a financial professional, well, it may be about that time. David, you've been doing this for a long time, and you've met with a lot of people who it's their first time ever speaking with someone about their financial situation. For some, this can be very anxiety-provoking, right?
Absolutely. I always say it's like, being naked, right? It really is. Emotionally naked,
It's
right?
all out there.
It is. And so I have a lot of empathy for that, because, so we try to have, kids' gloves and make people as comfortable as possible because, I always tease like I'm half camp counselor, half advisor. So my camp counselor hat's on first.
So let me ask you this. If you are preparing for a first appointment, what can you do to best prepare yourself to get the most out of that appointment?
Pretty simple. There's probably 2 things. Number one, be prepared. Come with everything. If they ask you for information, tax returns, investment statements, doesn't mean you have to give it to them. Have it with you.
Sure.
Social Security statements.
Sure.
Have your stuff. Right? If they ask you questions they need ahead of time, make sure you know the answer to those to the best of your ability.
Yeah. That's
number one, pretty basic. But number 2, just be honest, be straightforward, be open, okay? From experience, I will tell you, I always say, once I know somebody's story, I can help them with their planning. Okay. Right? The test of a good advisor is a good listener. Or are they an empathizer? Do they want to hear what you have to say? And because usually retirement's more emotional about what we want to do, kids, grandkids, travel, fun. And it's not about X and O's so much. Most of the people that sit across from me have enough money. Yeah. It's just about how do we optimize that? How do we do the most and best with our money?
How do you make retirement look like what they want it to look like?
Absolutely. There you go.
Okay. So let me ask you this. We can't move things around until we're 59 and a half.
Yep.
But when is the appropriate time to sit down with a financial advisor?
I think any time's a good time. My clients are mostly in their late 50s, early 60s. But I would say within 5 years of retirement, so if somebody's 55, want to retire at 60, It just depends. We have all kinds of clients, business owners, real estate people, teachers, firefighters, the whole gamut. But I would say within 5 years of retirement would be an optimal time.
Okay. I want to talk about the very successful, hardworking do-it-yourselfer.
Yes.
They're very good at what they've been doing for all these years. They've had their own spreadsheet. They walk into your office for a first appointment. What are they missing at times?
Yeah, the Home Depot advisor, right?
Okay.
The do-it-yourselfer, right? We tease, but no. Yeah, that's great. And we get a lot of clients like that come in. What are they missing? I ask them, how many times have you retired?
Okay.
Right. 0. Our tagline is, you retire once, we retire every day.
I like that.
I was laying in bed one night and they came to me. So it's just that there's a difference between saving money and spending money in retirement.
Sure.
Right? And that's usually why they're there, because they have anxiety about how to spend their money properly and not run out of money.
So speaking of which, how often do you find someone thinks their portfolio could withstand the next major storm, but it wouldn't?
All the time?
Yeah.
All the time?
Yeah. And what do you do about that? What's that initial conversation like?
Yeah, it's part of our personal second opinion process is a risk assessment of the portfolio. And we're looking at their fees, the risk of the portfolio, the return of the portfolio, of course. But most people and most advisors I've seen are not really explaining to their clients the risk inherent with portfolios. The average portfolio, if somebody sits across from me, can lose in the next bear market or down market in the stock market 20, 30, 40%.
Game changer.
Game changer, especially when you're not saving money anymore and you're spending money. That's how you run out of money.
Sure.
Right? If you retired in 2000, if you took out 5% of your capital plus inflation and 2% advisory fees, you ran out of money in 2015.
Yeah.
And so these are real issues. And so we take risk dead serious. We call it sacred money all the time.
Yeah, I like
People
that.
are coming to us with all of their assets, right? Their lifetime work. And we have to protect them first, produce lifetime income they cannot grow, and grow the money as well. So it's a different ordering rule than just saving money.
What do you say to the person who is putting off this initial conversation?
Don't.
Yeah.
Now.
It'll cost you, right?
Yeah. If you're thinking that you should be doing something about it or meeting with somebody, just to get a second pair of eyes. But if you're going to retire, I will tell you, with Social Security, taxes, long-term care, inflation, stock market risk, there's no way you can do it on your own. You can do it. Doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. But are you optimizing your taxes, Social Security, your investments? Probably not. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have a successful retirement, but at least seek out some advice if you're concerned about those things.
Great information, and for that reason, we will keep talking in just a moment. But first, still more to come here on the Finance Report. We'll be taking a spin on the wheel of retirement, and David will speed things up during 15 in 15.
Save people tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes.
Did you say hundreds?
Hundreds, yes.
Hundreds, okay.
Hundreds of thousands.
Great information, and because of that, today, exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, David has a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater, he's offering a complimentary second opinion review. This will allow David and his team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call right now, 858-293-4644. Once again, 858-293-4644.
Time now for the fastest 15 seconds in retirement. It's 15 in 15, 15 topics in 15 seconds for David. You know the drill, so the clock will start now. Question number 1, magic numbers, chasing other people's goals, not necessarily the route to go. So David, how can people figure out what they really need for a comfortable retirement?
Everybody's different, right? It's like we're all different anyway, but everybody has their own number, right? And you have to sit down with yourself, hopefully, or an advisor, figure it out. But it starts with income always, right? I always say, what is your paycheck?
Yeah.
Right? We're trying to replace a paycheck. Start with a paycheck, and we got to reverse engineer into our investments in Social Security and pensions, what's going to produce the cash flow to replace the paycheck.
All right.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Question number 2, according to a survey, many millionaires believe it will take a miracle to retire securely. Why do they have this type of anxiety?
Look at the world we live in today, right?
It's kind of crazy.
Wars and inflation and politics. Come on, right?
Why?
Why? Everybody, social media, right? I got 3 kids. I'm stressed out. I'm kidding. But no, the fact is there's just a lot of stuff. It's attacking our retirement. And I think right now today, because everybody kind of is worried about what's going on now, is inflation.
Yeah.
I think I looked the other day that, the cost of goods is almost 30% higher than it was pre-COVID.
Right.
So inflation is a real thing. So, people have a right to be concerned. But the bottom line is get a plan together, get an income plan, so you can make sure we don't have to worry about that in retirement.
An empowering answer.
Yes.
Question number 3, we all know what the market can do, for better or for worse. We've discussed taking some risk off the table, but for those that really want to just be in it, what are reasonable expectations?
Well, I know that the numbers since 2000, the S&P 500 is average 7%.
Okay.
Not 20, not 10, think 7. That's just not that much, really. They talk about, double-digit returns over time. A balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds since 2000 is up 5%, right? So that's the expectation of your return. So if you're taking out 3, 4, 5% of your money, you better be doing a good job managing your money. Because the returns that people talk about in the market are probably a lot less than they think.
All right, very important to know. Question number 4, sad and scary survey. Those nearing retirement in that age range of 60 to 67 years old, less than 25% of them say they've saved enough for retirement. How did this retirement crisis happen?
Yeah, just life's more expensive, man. It just is. I think that's a big issue. The market's pretty much helped people out. We had the bond market was really bad for the last 3 or 4 years because of interest rates rising.
Right.
So that's kind of put a little crimp on the returns of people's portfolios. But I think it's just a different story when we get to retirement. We want to do a different allocation to make sure that we have the cash flow that we need. The rate of return on the portfolio is not so important as the income we receive.
All right, I think we're going to dive a little more into income here. Question number 5, a report found a big difference between 1990 and our present day right now. How about retirees needing nearly double the amount of savings, along with needing to replace 80%, David, of their paycheck? How do you do this?
Yeah, I would say it's 100% of the paycheck.
Oh, wow.
I'd say it's 100%. It goes back to with inflation we were talking about earlier. Quite frankly, most of the clients sitting across from me need the exact, if they're netting $10,000 a month in their paycheck, that's what they need to produce.
Okay.
So it's a tall order. It's a tall order. You better be very precise about that to be able to produce that kind of cash flow for somebody over their entire life with inflation, with taxes, with the cost of healthcare, long-term care. It's going to be challenging.
Yeah, you want to run those numbers, know what you're going to need for retirement. Question number 6, the A word, once a no-no, but now annuities? Yes. According to a survey, a large number of workers are interested in taking some of their savings to create a steady income stream. Why the change of heart on annuities?
Well, I think they've gained a lot of. Barron's talks a lot about them. In fact, there was a big cover story with Barron's talking about annuities now, which is amazing. That's a stock magazine, right? A stock market magazine. So we've used annuities, guaranteed lifetime income streams for our entire, for 30 years as a firm, right? And so the fact is that people like the safety. What is Social Security? It's like an annuity. What's in a pension? It's an annuity. People like predictable, guaranteed income streams. So I think people are starting to figure that out.
All right, so that's going to be my last question for this first half to 15 and 15. Question number 7, why wouldn't someone want that predictable income stream in retirement?
Most people just don't understand how they work is the problem. So it's just really a lack of understanding. I can't think of a single client I've ever had that's had an annuity that had guaranteed lifetime income that said, David, I wish I didn't do that, right? Not one. Right, so it's education. There's a lot of myths out there about annuities. They're too expensive. They're all these things. So if you understand them, we spend a lot of time teaching people about them because they're usually a piece of our portfolios. They usually like the benefit of those annuities.
All right, I love that first half to 15 and 15. You're dropping the education right there. And for you at home, if you want more knowledge on how to prepare for that successful retirement exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, David has a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater, he's offering a complimentary second opinion review just for you. This will allow David and his team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap, analyzing where you are right now, and then discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call right now, it's 858-293-4644. Once again, that's 858-293-4644. Hydrated for the second half of 15 and 15. Question number 8. When it comes to taxes, David, it's important for retirees to think beyond that yearly timeline. So I'm curious, what can investing more tax efficiently mean for our retirements?
I mean, a lot. Everybody's going to be different, like we talked about earlier. Everybody's number for retirement is different. Everybody's tax number is different. And so depending upon the situation, where I find most of the tax benefit comes from large sales of assets, real estate, businesses, those types of things. Inheritance can be an issue sometimes. And so those are the type of areas we're really focus a lot of our energy on, because those can save people tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes.
Did you say hundreds of
hundreds,
thousands?
Yes.
Hundreds, okay.
Hundreds of thousands,
Well,
yes.
that's an attention getter right there.
Yes.
Let's go attack those taxes. Question number 9, target date funds have been popular, they've been common, but some employers are rethinking their approach to them. Should people be doing the same?
Yeah, I call them the sausage factories, what the hell's in them, right? And so we're not big fans of target date funds. All a target date fund does is buy more bonds every year, right? Well, ask the people that own bonds the last 3 years have lost a lot of money, right? So that's generally not a good thing to just automatically buy something, right? Especially investments. So we're not big fans of them. What's happened is the industry has kind of gotten dummied down, less choices in 401k plans. There's reasons for that I won't go into right now. But the fact is that I'm not a big fan of target date funds, no.
Okay, I'll take that answer. Question number 10, being told you have a diversified portfolio seems nice, but what you're diversified in, that really matters. What should this look like for people?
Well, I call it the diversification, right? I was watching Warren Buffett actually use that on stage the other day, so I felt pretty proud of myself. I used that word. I was in good company.
I like the way you did it.
Diversification just means that we own too much stuff, right? It sounds good, but that can sometimes water down returns. So that's a whole topic, but the fact is that diversification is a good thing. I like to think of diversification of investments. Let's think of stocks, bonds, real estate, annuities, those types. It's better to diversify that way than owning 100 different stocks.
Yeah, for sure. Question number 11, money is personal. We have emotions over it, but why does David Reyes say emotions in investing, keep them separated?
That's almost impossible. The mistress, right? Money's the mistress. It's a relationship we have. We all have it with money. What I like to do is let's separate the emotion from the actual facts of how much money do we need in retirement, and let's just focus on the safest way to get there, right? We want the least amount of risk, most amount of income to never run out of money.
Yeah, you've most likely won the game in retirement
Exactly.
anyway. Question number 12, inflation, low interest rates, public debt. The list goes on and on and on. This could all lower public benefits in the future. So my question to you is, what's a retiree's counterpunch to the unpredictable?
Yeah, I think number one, create more predictable income streams outside of Social Security and pensions, because pensions most of them are underfunded, Social Security is under attack. I have a new employee, she's 26, she's not counting on Social Security.
No.
That generation, it doesn't exist to them, which they're probably smart to do that. Now, my clients that are the baby boomers, it's gonna be there for them. It may change over time, but the best way to do that is to really have an income plan that makes sure that can make that bulletproof.
Question number 13, people might want to plan to work longer, but what do you say to someone if their employer comes to them and requires them to retire right now?
Yeah, it happens all the time. Happens all the time. I've got a lot of pilot clients, right? 65, right?
Yeah.
Hang it up. You just got to be prepared. I mean, a lot of clients enjoy their job. I have a lot of engineers. I have a lot of people that love their occupation, but then maybe get the pink slip. But sometimes we're disabilities, right?
Yeah.
Disabilities. You got a bad back, right?
Yep.
And so, right, so disabilities. But the fact is that we just need to be prepared for retirement financially. And mostly, sometimes it's a different story. But be prepared regardless.
You brought up your kids earlier, talking about stressful. How about this? Save for retirement or help your kid pay for college. It's been a challenge over the years, but why is investing in a 529 plan perhaps a solid option?
It can be good. There's been some change with the Secure Act that allow you now to move that to a Roth IRA. I think we may talk about that later. There's some rules to that. 529 plans are great. There's a lot of limitations to the investments, but if they're unused, they also can be used for retirement. So I think 529 plans are a great resource for clients.
All right, we're going to stay on campus right now. Little power over what you pay in tuition, but living expenses, those could be a different story. What do you think of buying a home in these college towns instead of going the dorm route?
Yeah, if you don't have to buy, if you have to get a mortgage, right now it's a little tougher. Yeah, if you can pay cash for something like that. But yeah, I have many clients that own homes or apartment buildings near campuses for their kids, and they can do quite well with those.
Yeah.
Yes.
As you talk about income, that can also be
right.
another source of it right there. But for our kids, not you and me, but my kids, your kids right there, no partying.
No party. Yeah.
Only studying. David Reyes, great information in 15 and 15. We appreciate it. So for you at home, today exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, David has a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater, he's offering a complimentary second opinion review. This will allow David and his team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap, analyzing where you are right now, and then discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call right now, it's 858-293-4644. Once again, that number, it's 858-293-4644.
When it comes to planning for retirement, a lot of pre-retirees have more questions than answers. And for that reason, today we're going to spin the wheel of retirement. David, I'm going to have you do the honors.
All right, here we go.
All right, whatever we land on, I want you to tell me the question you get most frequently and your answer.
All right.
And here we go. Income.
Income. Number one question, right? Retirement income. David, how much income can I have in retirement? Right? And then the second question, am I going to run out of money? Right?
Okay.
Right? We don't want that. So that's the number one question I get is income in retirement. Most people, I was asked clients, how many times you retired? 0, right? You retire 1 time, so we better do it right. So the first thing is, how do we change the investments? They're going to change. How do we allocate capital properly, proper investment planning to create guaranteed lifetime income or predictable lifetime income streams?
And with that in mind, let's spin again. Growth. Most frequent question you get.
Growth, growth is secondary. It would be a top 5, not a number 1. Income's number 1. Yeah, we want to protect our money. We want to produce lifetime income streams, and we want to grow our money. And I think that the growth is the inflation driver, right? Because we want to have growth because a lot of income streams maybe not keep pace with inflation. So growth is definitely important. We call it buy income, invest the difference. Have our income streams there, predictable income streams, and then grow the rest of our money.
Sidebar, what do you say to those who are chasing growth at all costs?
Well, not a good idea.
Absolutely. Let's spin again. Taxes, so important yet so frequently overlooked.
Taxes, probably number 2. Income, then taxes, income taxes, right? So, taxes are a little unique in the sense that not everybody in retirement is going to have taxes be their number 1 issue. But taxes are a big piece of planning, especially if we have the sale of real estate, sale of businesses, any type of large inheritance can be an issue. So we focus a lot of our energy on reducing taxes on those types of transactions.
I'm going to have you spin just one more time.
All right.
Last topic of the day, protection.
That's up there, protection, right up there with income and protection. People are worried, number 1, about how do we protect our money in retirement because they're worried about running out of money. So that is probably a top 2 question.
Great information as always, which means the time to act is now. Exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, David has a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater, he's offering a complimentary second opinion review. This will allow David and his team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call, 858-293-4644.
A fantastic episode today. Covered quite a bit. Taxes, income, protection, inflation, you name it. It has been discussed by you. And I know to help our viewers at home take that first step towards a successful retirement, you have a very special offer.
That's right. For those in or near retirement with savings of $500,000 or greater, give us a call. And our team will do a second opinion review, and we'll do it all on a complimentary basis.
An excellent opportunity that should not be missed. And once again today, exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, David has a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater, he's offering a complimentary second opinion review.
That's right. This will allow David and his team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap, analyzing where you are right now, and then discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. It's a game plan to get you where you need to be. The number to call right now, it's 858-293-4644. Once again, that number is 858-293-4644.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next time.